And we're going to begin with the card. It looks a little bleak. The Five of Coins or the Five of Pentacles is considered to be a card of material loss, of something that you had but suddenly is no longer there. It really reminds me of the Little Match Girl, that sense of that bleakness of not really having what you need to survive. And so in this particular card, if you look at it really up close, you'll see that there's 5 coins and they are on a door that is going up, which is traditionally seen as a church. So this right behind this figure that feels so much loss and so much sense of being left out of the rest of the world, of not really having what it takes. Right behind this figure is like a doorway to something more. And yet the figure can't see it. So that's traditionally what this card really represents. And so you can see that what we're looking at is when change happens, what do we do? What are some of the ways that we deal with change? And the Five of Coins tells us that one of the ways to deal with change is to really feel that victim part of ourselves, that sense of not just going into the loss, but feeling that sense of there's something wrong with me. I've been left out of the circle of life. I've been excluded. I don't have what it takes. So there's this whole sense of a hopelessness, a helplessness. And so this figure can't see what actually is in front of her. So we're gonna
I just want to say, yeah, it reminds me, of the big losses, but also for the infant. In the Sufi Trudeau, she talks about also losses of connection, because that's a physical loss of someone important. And I think about for the infant, that mothering figure is providing physical nourishment and emotional nourishment connection. So this can also touch those very young parts of us. But I think of so many people who just struggle with inflation and everything just to make it by day to day. You can get, so it can be a big loss, or it can just be life. It just never feels like it's enough. And maybe for many people, it's just barely enough, or actually not quite enough for, what is it? I forget, half the people on the planet don't know where their next meal is coming from. So this is a very real card for so many people. And when we saw that documentary about the people in India born into brothels, and they interviewed some of the people, there was just a hopelessness, like you said. They were identified with that victim self, that nothing was ever going to change, nothing was possible. And when they gave the kids these cameras, a bunch of them got out of that cycle. So yeah, I think it's a very powerful card for me, for our culture, for most of us at times in our lives.
Yeah, and the dilemma with, I'd say, this card is that it's not to be denied that there is all sorts of material and physical losses that are continually happening, but it's our response to that experience. I guess the other day when we were in downtown Portland, I was like shocked because I saw this man entering a tent who was homeless, and he was entering the tent with a suit on. He had obviously just come from a job. And to me, that was a different, like, he was trying to adjust and work with what was happening in his life, and obviously had not gone to that total place of the victimhood. So it's very, very hard to hold.
What's that quality of grieving, to really grieve versus being a victim versus getting stuck on something you're missing. And I think about aging for all of us, that's creating that Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh meditation. One day I'll have to give up all that I cherish.
That's right.
So, and I just wanted to share that one other one. There was a Zen haiku I learned from my teacher. Yeah, I'm gonna come back and take the big screen. So it starts at silence. My house burned down last night. I can see the horizon more clearly now. So there's that process of transformation. I think it's very much a kind of phenomena of dissolving and letting go, because that sacred space is so close, and yet the figure doesn't turn towards that. So what do we turn towards when we have loss? So which part of us turns where, or which parts of us?
Right, there's always parts that do different things, but. So just starting with our feet on the ground. And we're gonna start with balanced breaths, with what it feels like to be in balance. And then we're gonna shift it into what happens when our focus goes into so much of that not having, that victim place. So breathing in through the nose, rich, full breaths. And out through the nose, rich, full breaths. And if you can, just imagine that you're doing it in balance, so that you're receiving from the earth with each breath in. And you're letting go back into the earth with each exhale. So bringing in whatever the earth has to give you right now and letting go. And as we're doing that, we're going to also focus on our feet on the floor and feeling that wonderful sense of our connection to the earth. Our ankles, our shins, our knees. Letting that energy from the earth come up and really revitalize and connect us to those parts of our body. All the way up into our thighs. And doing whatever feels good to really let that energy come up. If your knees are tired, you can begin to just rub your legs on that inhale. And letting go. You can even shake them out a little bit or just wiggle them around on that exhale. But really focusing on how you receive on that inhale, and you let go on that exhale. And we're coming up to our hips, receiving that energy into our hips. Our coccyx, and we letting go. And all the way up into our bellies, receiving that energy, our bottoms, and letting go. Letting that energy come up all the way into our solar plexus region, right below our lung. Expanding it a little bit and letting go. Letting it come all the way up into our heart area, upper chest. And letting go. And up into our shoulders and arms. Up into our necks and our heads. And then one more breath to let the whole body invigorate. And let go. And in the next breath, we're gonna focus on our heads. And we're gonna really focus on the exhale with our heads, so that we can imagine that what we're really asking all these cells to just let go for a moment. Just, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to plan anything. And just really, as you focus on that exhale, that inhale is just kind of an afterthought. It doesn't really get focused on. We begin to feel a little bit more of the heaviness in our heads. We just breathe in order to survive, so to speak. We let the exhale take us into that sense of the heaviness of the head. And before we let ourselves go into that place, just there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. You can see that's a part of the victim, but it's also a very important piece of being able to relax. So before we let ourselves really go into that, sometimes another way that we deal with change is we try to stop it. So we're going to feel for just a moment the shaking of the head, letting in that fire energy. No, I don't want to go there. Time is and we let go. Continue in that place of really barely breathing in, really letting go on that exhale. Letting our heads get heavier and heavier. Asking all those parts that are thinking so hard to just step aside. And letting that heaviness now begin to be felt a little bit in your shoulders and your arms. I mean, it's kind of like making its way down through your body. You can feel the weight. But wait a minute, we're not so sure we want to go there. I think there's one last ditch effort, and we breathe in and we try to reinvigorate. No, and then we let go again. Beginning again to really let that exhale bring your shoulders into that heavy place. Feel it all the way down through your elbows and your fingers, just kind of pulling down, maybe one side and then the other side, and the front, the back. Feel that pulling of your shoulders, your head. With each exhale. And we begin to see that it's affecting our whole upper chest all the way down through our heart area and our back, our scapula. And we don't really want it to happen. We don't want it to go there. So we take a nice big breath in through the mouth. We try to reinvigorate. And we let go again. One more breath in that area. Exhale, then become really making your chest, your upper chest really heavy. Kind of pulls down a little bit more on one side or the other, or in the front. And we feel that heaviness beginning to sink down into the belly, into the solar plexus region. And as we feel that I can feel this last ditch effort, parts of us of like, don't want to have this happen, so we take that fire breath in through the mouth. No. Oh, and then we let go again. One more last ditch effort in this solar plexus region. And we begin to let that heaviness again just really take over. Feel it all the way down into your belly, how it makes you sag forward, sag to the left or to the right. It can feel a little bit like depression. It can also just feel like really letting go. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. But just noticing how it affects you. And letting that yourself feel that, and as you do, you can see that it's starting to come into the hips. Even the hips kind of want to sag. So we're gonna let ourselves do one last ditch effort into the hips with the fire breath. Taking them up, no. We want to activate. And then we let go again. One last fire breath, saying no. And now we breathe really that exhale into the hips. And as we breathe that exhale into the hips, we just let ourselves feel that heaviness. Now we almost feel like a kind of like a heavy rag doll. Everything is starting to slouch a little bit. It's all on the exhale. All the way. Now our legs are starting to get really heavy too. Oh, heavy legs. So we begin to say, oh, wait a minute, there's just one more piece we can try. And we breathe the fire breath into our legs and shake them out. Oh, and then we let go again. One last ditch effort. Breathing in that fire breath. And go just really however you want to sink. You can go all the way down with the front of you. You can sit on the floor, whatever feels good to you. I just want you to find that place where you can let your body sink. Hard for me to do it because you can't see me. So I'm just sinking down with each exhale, but be comfortable. Find a comfortable place to be. You could be in your chair, you can be on the floor, wherever you are, you should be comfortable. I'm going to pull up my chair. And as you let yourself feel that whole sinking into the chair, into the floor. Exhaling, continuing to just feel that whole exhale, the way in which your seat is heavy, your legs are heavy, your arms, your chest, and wherever you are sitting, laying, letting that heaviness really take you down. You're not sitting up straight. You're just letting everything curve you, so to speak. Still focusing on that exhale. And just really let yourself feel this condition for a few more breaths. See if your mind takes it into a certain direction. See if you can just find what's the experience of this heaviness? As you say and remind yourself that you are giving yourself to the earth. The earth is actually now holding both the fact that you're really heavy and that you're giving yourself to the earth, and the earth is holding you. You're not falling through. Imagine the earth as those doors in the picture. Those big heavy doors, it's holding you, holding your weight. And see if you can feel the heaviness, but also the way in which it's being held. And then really slowly begin to add in a little bit more inhale. A little richer, fuller. And this time, receiving just a little bit more from the earth, even though it's still heavy inside. Notice the parts of your body that just really feel the heaviness. And let them be like that as you just continue to breathe a little bit richer, a little bit fuller. Now begin to balance the breath. Breathing in, if you're breathing in for 2, then breathe in for 2, out for 2. If you're breathing in for 4, breathe in for 4 and out for 4. And begin to feel how the body has some sturdiness. Has some solidity. Just like the earth. And we ask for one more piece as we're exploring this solidity, this sturdiness in our own bodies. We ask that we also can connect with what's inside those doors. You could say that the holy place, the sacred place inside, which is also connected to the cosmos. Which is why churches often have steeples to remind us that there's a connection to the cosmos, both inside of us and that sacred place, whether it's in nature or wherever it happens to be for you. So we're going to begin really gently to breathe in and out through the mouth. Asking for the breeze of the cosmos to blow through us. Blow through our heads, our necks, our shoulders and arms, all the places that were so heavy before. The breeze lightens them up, and it reminds us of another connection that we have. We let that lightness flow through our chest. All the way down through our bellies and our coccyx and our hips. And even our upper legs. Let the lower legs just be more sturdy and heavy. And let this beautiful air breath create a space inside of us for what needs to happen next. For wonderment, for awe, for the unknown. Now, as we are curious and allow ourselves to just be a little bit more into both feeling that maybe the after effects of that heaviness in the body is that sturdiness, also the lightness that comes when we breathe in the air, and the possibility of insight, understanding. When we breathe this air directly into our hearts, we now have a beautiful container inside of our bodies to hold us. If you're not sitting in a chair or someplace really, really comfortable, make sure that you're doing that now, so that you have that sense of the stability underneath you, connection to the earth, and then the airiness of the heart, open, willing to know that it's a temple for all of ourselves and for all of our explorations.
Just letting your breath, this nice, slow, rich, full inhalation, exhalation, in and out of your heart. Just reminding all your different cells, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go right now, but just to breathe in and out of your heart for a moment. You can do whatever breath, but perhaps you continue with this earth breath. And the chest is soft and porous. Welcoming, holding all the ones that feel heavy, that feel collapsed, or that protest against the inevitable impermanence and losses of life. Just inviting them to be there with you gently. You'll get to them in a few minutes. But just invite them into your heart. Just feel the breath. Just really get that physical sense, that energetic sense of your heart. Just in the sacred space of your heart, allowing whether you see or imagine or feel a place of nourishment, a place of calm, of peace, a place of love, of harmony, of beauty. Just really allowing, maybe it's a place you've been before, a place from your past, a place you've read about or has come in a dream. But take a moment to really find this place of love, harmony, and beauty in the sacred space of your heart. and really take a moment or two to really enjoy, to really experience this place in whatever sensory modalities you experience it with in your inner life. As you rest there with all love and all respect, calling upon high self, your celestial self, the angel of your being, your inner beloved, your guide, in whatever way you connect with that, with whatever sensory modalities, whether it's just a felt presence, light of love, spaciousness, whether it's a wise being that comes, animal ally, sphere of light, whatever shape or form, we welcome you, beloved high self, for a time of communion, a time of guidance, a time of dialogue, but spending a few moments to just breathe in the love and light of high self, the nourishment, and to breathe back love and gratitude. Just resting, being nourished, filling with the presence of high self. And as you fill, just allow that to spill over through you to all the other selves that may protest loss or collapse with loss, or any self that needs it. It can flow directly from high self. And when you're full, it can flow you out to all these selves also. Letting them know that they're held and loved. And beloved high self, we ask for any guidance, any dialogue, anything that will help us in these really challenges of life, because many of us, when they're faced with these things, boy, did these different parts, did I really sign up for this? This is hard. This loss is hard. It's of connection or finances. Parts of us just protest and other parts collapse, but it's just hard. So, high self, do you have any guidance for us, for all these different selves, to cope with the challenges, these losses that come inevitably in the course of our lives? Any guidance, whether it's a practice or image or an understanding, anything that helps us cope more fully with life's losses and all the parts of us that react to these losses? Perhaps your high self reminds you, like mine, to Also be grateful for what I have to notice what is there, as well as being held in these times of loss. Just being grateful right now for all of us gathered here, feeling our hearts, our high selves, all our different selves, that in times of loss, we also have community and support. And then with love and respect, we call upon oneself who can remember a time of loss, whether it was financial or emotional in terms of losing a relationship with a friend or lover or spouse or animal or whatever loss there was, whatever time in the life. Just first of all, calling in a self that just protests this, like in that fire breath. It says no, that really reacts strongly, that may take incredible actions to run away or fight it, deny it. Just really allowing this one in. We really welcome you. Getting a sense of this one in your body, their feeling of protest, any images or thoughts or beliefs they have, it sucks or it's always like this, whatever they have, and the behaviors, the way that they protest and fight it. Just really allowing that self in to get a sense of him, her, they, them right now. Noticing how you feel towards this one. Think if you can bring love, respect, compassion, curiosity to this self. Some parts have a hard time asking them to just rest and step aside. We really want to get to know this one, protests all these losses, fights it. Really feeling their fire and their energy. I don't know how hard it is with these losses. But that you're here with high self, and it's okay. It's going to be okay. If anything, there's always the infinite, which we are in our deepest level. Even when it's hidden and obscured, like that steeple, chapel, spire that goes up, we may not notice it, but it's always there. That high self is that steeple coming down into us. So let this self just feel you, feel high self being held. Just saying what they need or want to. Let's see if this one has a name or a way they wish to be known today, so that we can come back and visit or recognize them when we're there to help us unblend, so we can really be in relationship with this one. And make sure they're aware of you and high self. Really just inviting them to breathe the breath of unity with high self, to just drop in, to join the circle of you and high self, and they're an integral part of this circle now. They have their place. And then with all love and respect, we call in a self that just collapses, just like that figure in the tarot, just with their hands on their head and the weariness and the overwhelm and the hopelessness and just that collapse, the despair. We really welcome oneself from one time in our lives, or perhaps in our current life, just welcoming this self in, just getting a sense of them, first of all, where they are in your body, the sensations, the feeling. There's an image, visual image, the behavior, collapse, despair. Take a moment to really just feel them inside, see them inside, be with them inside. Yeah, and bringing that love and respect to them. If that's hard to do, know that there's another self. Letting them know it's okay to be with this one right now. And just bringing this curiosity, compassion, love, respect to this one. Just being with them for a moment or two, holding them. Letting them know you see and hear them and their despair. And I'm just going to be with you for a few minutes in your despair, holding you with my presence. Letting them know that they can collapse, they can become that amoeba, just dissolving almost. And we know that eventually, let them know eventually they'll come out of it, but in their own time, in their own pace. We're just going to be with them for another minute or two. You don't have to come out of that in this soul work. They can be there, but you're going to be there with them with high self. This is a normal response along with the protest. This is another normal response to loss. Part of our human divine being. If there can even be almost a sweetness being with this one, holding this one, loving them in the midst of their despair. They don't have to change, you're just there with them, loving them, holding them, seeing what this one wants or needs. Perhaps they want to be rocked or want something, chocolate milkshake. Just see if there's anything that they want or need. You know you're going to be there with them. You'll be there with them even when they die. Really letting them become aware of you and high self, bathing them with whatever they need or want, or just this love, this light, this life, this nourishment of your presence and high self's presence. See what it's like for the one who protests to become aware. Maybe they want to join in nourishing this one also. And all be there comforting each other. You as conscious self are holding the protesting, the collapsed ones, and you're being held and they're being held by high self. It's really allowing them, all breathing together. Aware of all these different dimensions of your being, from these basic selves and their difficulties to conscious self and your awareness, to high self and all your guides, just feeling all the different levels of existence and feeling each of us gathered here in this Zoom, sacred Zoom space, aware of all of ourselves, our conscious selves holding and our high self holding all of us, just allowing this field of community to just open. We're just all held and holding each other. Knowing that we live in each other's hearts, even when we're not physically or zoomily there. Then to close our soul work meditation this morning, we'll take a breath, we'll do the sacred sound who, just dissolving into the vastness of the temple of the universe for our inner life, and a second one as we come up, just feeling that infusion in everything all the time, whether we know it or not. Taking a breath in. And taking a moment to come back, your own time and way, a moment to contemplate your soul work meditation this morning. Stretch or just contemplate in silence for a minute, or perhaps there's something you want to jot or write down.